Welcome back to Hill and Dale for another casted game. On the East Hill today in the red, we have Techeromi as the Delhi Sultanate. And on the west side in the blue, we have Power Steve as the Delhi Sultanate 2. So the ultimate mirror match, the true test of player skill. Now, let's take a look at their scouting path that both of these guys are taking. I think Hill and Dale is a really interesting one because players seem to take very different scouting paths around this match. So we can see Techeromi is going very, very safe. He's actually gone to the back of his base and around the side of his hill, which I personally think is a bit of a dangerous play because if Power Steve goes a bit more aggressively, he actually won't know where his scout is and he could lose out on all of these sheep in the center and potentially wherever he chooses to go now, because he's actually delaying the chance where he goes to the contested area of the map. And I always like to think the contested side is your opponent's side. So really, you want to be making sure that you get your sheep, but you also want to be trying to nick theirs as well. So far he's got 2, and we can see that he's now going to be doing a bit of a figure of 8 going around the other side of the map, picking up a little one. And I think it's always good on Hill and Dale because you can often get some around the cliffs, so you do need to be careful. But going up and nicking some of Power Steve's sheep on the hill as well. Let's take a look at his side and see where he's going. So he's actually gone to the back as well. He's coming out much better on the luck this side, so he's got these. But it does mean that now if he goes and repeats on the other side, he is going to get the same area covered. So it all depends now where Techeromi goes. If he decides to come back on this eastern side, then they're both going to be following each other around. But looking at this sheep hole, Power Steve's coming off on top, which is with 8 at the moment. Now, this is going to be really important in this matchup because Delhi really needs to secure as much food as possible. We can also see from the upgrades that Power Steve is a little bit ahead, and because this is a mirror match, when the players get their upgrades, whether they go for 2 blacksmiths, whether they go for 1 blacksmith or the sacred sites, it's going to be really, really important. So getting these techs that little bit faster, especially for wheelbarrow, and if you go for the wood cutting one or double broad axe, those are going to be really, really important. But looking at the sacred sites, because obviously we're playing Delhi, which means we need to be thinking about where those sacred sites are. This first one is massively, massively, massively in Power Steve's favor. It's right up next to the edge of his hill, and a couple of little tiny short walls here and a little one across this side, and he can actually wall in part of his base and then basically camp all of his units on it. So it's actually super safe for him. The second sacred site on the eastern side actually is also just slightly on his side of the map, and that wood line is also in his favor as well because he can wall up and then actually use that to force Techeromi to go round, and it's going to give him more time. So actually he could probably just wall straight across to here. Here we go, to the center, secure up 2 of these golds and the sacred sites, which is pretty crazy. This other one is very much on Techeromi's side, but there's no wood line with it, so actually it's going to be much harder for him to wall and defend this in. So at the moment, the sacred site positioning is definitely looking in Power Steve's favor. Whether they go for the feudal push onto the sacred sites, it's up for question because you know, in the mirror you do know that your opponent can do the same, so they might be looking for fast castle, and we know Power Steve loves his men at arms, so we might be seeing that as well. And I do love to see that he's gone for forestry. There we go, not the wood chopping one, the forestry. So we can see he's already got a lumber camp down, which is going to mean he's going to be able to get his double broad axe that little bit faster, skipping on the straggler trees, which means his wood's a little bit less, but he's going to be doing that better. Now, Dome of the Faith for both players going to be coming up at about the same time, and I think this is actually quite a nice landmark in this mirror because it does mean that you can continue to get those scholars pumping and then get more and more of those research techs that little bit faster. So if we check out the network, can we see... We can't see it from this view. Oh, that's frustrating. I love to be able to see the auras and the network, but all of these are going to be included, so they're going to be speeding up. And we can already see that he's getting piety. Now, as both players age up, we should be seeing all of those additional techs in. Techeromi is the first one up, and we can see that he's not quite got his techs in. No double broad axe in just yet. He needs to get his specialized pick. I'm trying to remember all of the different names, and he's going for the Dome of the Faith. There we go. So those scholars are now in queue, going to be speeding that up. And we have switched around, so Sanctity is going to be coming in at around 8 minutes, and then that will speed up as those extra scholars come in. But all of his techs have been queued. Now we will look over at Power Steve's side. We definitely want to see them in. Come on, mate, click them up. So we need to be getting these in as quickly as possible, and it might not sound like a lot, but the sooner you can get those techs in, the sooner it starts making a difference to your economy. Now, we're not seeing a stables. Very interesting. So normally you see the stables opener. Oh, I don't like this. Building with 5 villagers. So I remember watching a video before, and I've had people mention it to me as well. But when you're building buildings like this, you really want to be building with 1 villager, because actually you don't get the benefit of building with 5. You lose a lot of resources. And unless you're very quickly going to pump out a Ghazi Raider, like what time have you actually saved by rushing that up, because we only have just queued them up. But it looks like Power Steve is going for a slightly more defensive play. We've got a barracks with some spearmen to defend, and we're going double blacksmith, and this is where it's going to make the difference. So Techeromi at this stage has no blacksmith, so his techs aren't going to be coming in. He does have a really nice berry and deer position. This would have been really nice for Power Steve to come and hit that, all of his food in one place. Whereas actually, it looks like he's come off a little bit better because he's got front berries, but back deer. So that's going to be a little bit easier for him to defend. A couple of sheep still lingering around on the hills. You definitely, when you're doing this, you want to skirt around the edge of their hill, because usually they will spawn around the edges. So if we check out on this side, it looks like they've scooped up those, but you always want to grab a few extra sheep. Scout coming in, and the spear has noticed it, and he is going to be going for a little stabberoonie there. But looks like Techeromi is actually slightly ahead on the scholar count. He's producing a huge amount, whereas we've only got a couple coming in for Power Steve at the time being. But we do have the double blacksmith, so all of those techs are now in queue. And if we go over to Techeromi's side, there's no blacksmith whatsoever, so he's producing more and more Ghazi, but against these spears I'm not sure where he's going to be able to find the damage. So Power Steve using the infantry there to build up his walls to play a little bit more defensively, which I think is a really nice play, and the scout is hiding on the backside doing that. So I don't think Power Steve can't see that scout yet, but if we take a look over at Techeromi's side, then we can see that he has got quite a nice bit of vision. Those Ghazis coming in to try and get those villagers and diving into the wood line. This is a bit aggressive. You don't want to be doing that. And it looks like all of the villagers have got their shanks out chasing those Ghazis around. I'm not sure I'd be idling my villagers to chase them, but here we go. So the Ghazi's now outside. The spearman is still building up that wall, and it looks like Techeromi is going for the classic sacred site play. It's interesting he's going for this one first. That's easiest to deny, but it looks like he's running to all 3 at the same time. So he's going for the triple sacred site play, but that wolf is definitely going to give him a bit of a rough time. More Ghazis on the gold there. Are they going to get any damage? No. And they got 1 villager down, but I don't know whether it's worth it to lose all of those Ghazis, because that is the main military force, and it means it's going to be much harder to defend those sacred sites if that's what Techeromi is going for. Whereas looking at the resources here, it looks like Power Steve is trying to play a little bit more defensively and make his way to castle. But if these Ghazi don't heal up, oh, that's a big loss there. 2 Ghazis going down, and that scholar is also going to bite the dust. So 1 sacred site has been captured, running away with half health. The less than half health, that wolf is at the moment doing the most damage in the game, and the scholar has run away. So there we go. Power Steve not chasing him too far, but going to decap that so the gold income is reduced back, because that 21 gold we saw pop up there does make a big difference to the Delhi economy. This second sacred site has been captured now, and the scout is going to try and get that scholar. I don't think he's going to be able to do that damage, but actually Power Steve walling these in, and he's going to capture it with his own scholar there. Ghazi trying to catch him, but oh dear, so that Ghazi was not A-moved, so they're all running past each other. You really want to A-move your units when you're moving across the map like that so you can find the damage, but these villagers are going to get hit again, and I think that is going to be another villager down for Power Steve. We definitely want to see some more defenses on that gold mine. I'd love to see a couple of these spears placed on the outside of the mine here and here on stand ground, and then even if the Ghazi tries to dive in, they've really got to commit to that push. Sacred Site has been decapped and now being captured. Ghazi pulling in, but these spears are standing at the front lines, and the other one at the back has been taken out. So now the numbers are starting to look quite scary for Power Steve, but he doesn't have the vision. Just catching that Ghazi sitting on his hill, and I think he's going to be very quickly taken care of by the pointy stick boys. The top sacred site is now being taken by both scholars at the same time, and the wolf is getting his lunch. Whether he's going to be able to dine on 2 scholars, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, you just absolutely love to see it. Both of them doing that, and Power Steve trying to run away, so he targets the other scholar and ends it for him. But this one's still being captured. I'd love to see this scholar just moved into the stealth forest. You'd still be able to get vision, but then you're less likely to lose your scholar, or just run them back. But Archer switch in from Techeromi now. Does he have a blacksmith? He does. So these spearmen are going to be taken out very, very quickly, and an archer going there to decap and stop Power Steve's scholar at the top line. But we can only see one blacksmith, so all of these techs are going to take a huge amount of time, whereas Power Steve has almost got them in. He's almost got his pro scouts as well, which I'd love to see, but I don't think we will because we don't have a stables. And but House of Learning, the fast castle's coming in, but Techeromi isn't far behind, even though he's been producing a huge amount more units, so his eco is definitely pumping on the backside over here. Power Steve trying to wall in with a couple of spearmen as an archer comes over, and I think that archer is definitely going to be able to cause them some problems over there. The other archers massing up at the front and taking that center sacred site. So it's looking like Techeromi is going to be going for the sacred sites again as he's macroing for castle. He does have enough resources. Whether which landmark he's going to go for will be an interesting choice. Obviously, we can see that Power Steve has gone for the House of Learning, which gives us all of those nice techs. So as we know Power Steve, we've casted a few of his games. We're going to be seeing some men-at-arms pumped from here very, very swiftly, but also we have a stable, so we might be seeing some lancers. We've also got the Delhi Ellies, everyone's favorite unit, the elephants, which at the moment are becoming more and more popular with the videos that Beastie and everyone are putting out. But top sacred site is getting decapped again, with the MVP wolf eating his lunch, and the scout taken out as all of those archers are heading over to try and put a stop to that decap. Power Steve has hit the castle age, all of his techs very quickly in, nicely done there, and we can see from what he's gone for what his plan of action is. We've got hearty rations, that's going to be a nice little eco boost, which in this mirror match I think is a very nice idea. We've got houses for garrison with extra health, which I guess is more defensive if he's expecting a big push from those archers, and then we've got honed blades for the increased damage on men-at-arms. And as I thought, men-at-arms already pumping out of these. No scholars in the barracks just yet, and those archers on the top side with the scholar have been taken out. So only 5 scholars in queue at the moment. No relics in hand as of yet for Power Steve, but we do see Compound of the Defender going up on Techeromi's side. Now this is interesting because now this is going to put Power Steve on a bit of a timer. He's in the castle age. He's got the tech advantage, or he's getting it. He's got men-at-arms, which are really strong units, but he's camping in his base right now. He's trying to get that up, and while he's doing that, all of these units are securing up the sacred sites. They're doing this, and Techeromi's going up on his own, which is just going to be a little bit dangerous, because if he can't get those relics, then that's going to mean that his eco is going to start falling behind, especially when those keeps start dropping to secure up these external food sources and things like the gold, because a keep here would secure all of these up for Techeromi and then would produce villagers once that that tech comes up, which I can't remember the name of now. It's every time I start casting I just completely forget the names of all of the technologies and landmarks. But here we are, castle age clicking up over to the resources per minute. Sorry, I thought we were on villagers. I apologize. I know in the feudal age everyone loves to see villagers, but we're here now. And here we go. It's the village fortresses is the one that we're looking for, where you can make your villagers from there. Now, the military numbers are still looking pretty good for Techeromi, but the downside of the Delhi is those feudal units take a huge amount of time to level up, whereas the men-at-arms that are popping out from Power Steve's side are already castle age and ready to go. He's also going very, very heavily onto gold at the moment and trying to pick up some of those relics. So both players playing very defensively, not wanting to push out too hard in any one direction. And the villagers here have just finished up those berries, so they're going to have to move out onto another food source. I'm expecting we'll see either the blackberries over here or this one, but both players need to be securing up as many of those relics as possible. Power Steve has 2, and I don't think Techeromi has got any more. He's already got 9 scholars, but Power Steve is now using that gold to pump out as many scholars as possible. I'd love to see some in his production buildings, but he's getting all of his techs much more quickly. So you can see these at 2 minutes 28, and if we go over to Techeromi's side, we can see a level 2 one here is taking another 20-30 seconds, and that will make a big difference in this kind of matchup. So there we go. Power Steve moving out onto the front lines. Men-at-Arms chasing those villagers off, and they went for the front berries and got caught out of position. And then at the same time, the Men-at-Arms and Spears are trying to take out the Ghazis. The Ghazis do get their additional bonus damage against heavy, so this is probably not going to go too well for Power Steve's units, but they are castle, and they are going to be packing a real punch. But that, you saw the horses circling around. That's because they right-click moved and they didn't A move, and so they were all targeting the same men-at-arms that was in the middle of the crowd. But look at these guys, even with that bonus damage and all those archers firing like crazy on the back line, the men-at-arms are doing a huge amount of damage and definitely turning the tide on this military force. We can see Techeromi has also got crossbows in the back, and so Power Steve is going to have to build up his military just that little bit more, and he is also getting the Ghazis on the back side to try and take out some of these archers. But now these archers are going to be in real trouble. Unless they start kiting like crazy, these men-at-arms are going to start taking them out very, very swiftly. This wall is going to really make a big difference for him. And if we take a look on the top side, they've broken through and they're taking that sacred site. The villagers have managed to escape to safety over here and all going to be gobbling up that one sheep, as the men-at-arms at the front are still trying to tank that damage and those archers, but they are going to go down. 43 military now for Techeromi and 28 for Power Steve, and remember, 9 of those and 10 of those are the scholars, so this is where it's going to be really important to get those out. A couple of units going around the south side and the north side, and they are going to catch them. Are they going to get that villager? Come on, have you seen it? Let's go, charge. No. Are they going to get the scholar? No. Are they going to get the villager? What's happening? There we go. They caught him. And now they're going to be able to get into the eco as well. A couple of these little raiding units are going to be able to do a lot of damage and stop those walls and stop the scholar getting that relic. So 2 relics are currently in hand, but one of them is dropped. So now it's 2 to Power Steve and 1 to Techeromi. But that sacred timer is ticking, and he does have a huge amount of units in Power Steve's base. Ghazi coming out trying to get some damage on those archers, but these numbers are very, very low at this stage. He's definitely going to need to mass up at home and get some more production. Scholars have jumped into the production buildings to get them out, but the men-at-arms on the front line are really starting to tank up that damage, and he's getting more of them himself. We can see his raiding men-at-arms on the other side, running into Techeromi's base, getting some villagers down. He's getting some damage and idling up that economy. This is really going to help him while he's defending on the backside, because he's also getting idled by a huge amount of men-at-arms. Both of these guys sticking with men-at-arms, and we've got some siege, we've got archery workshops, and we've got all of these villagers running around like crazy. I think shifting these guys somewhere else, but he does have those extra techs, so the villagers are in the houses, and the houses are also shooting as well. So they might be idle, but I think they're doing a huge amount of damage, so this is going to be really bad. Techeromi diving in way too hard now, and if those crossbows get taken out and the men-at-arms take too much damage, the mass that Power Steve is building is going to be able to do some defending. And we can see the Ellies. Tower elephants are in queue. Where are they? Where are you? Hello? I can't find them. I can't find the production, but they are coming. 3 elephants coming, and this is a massive overextension for Techeromi. He's just thrown away all of that army under the towers and the houses. I think he's completely forgotten about these techs which allow all the villagers to garrison, and now that force in the base has been taken out, while Power Steve on the backside is decapping both of these sites, and he has also done a huge amount of damage and idle back in Techeromi's base. So this is now starting to swing in his favor. Tower elephant has come out, and now this chunky boy is going to be able to defend whatever pushes come his way, I think. So here we go. On the sacred site in the middle, we're massing up more men-at-arms and crossbows, but it looks like Power Steve is going to be going for the power of the elephants with his big farm transition. So now he's going to be all safe with his food, which is always a very touchy point for the Delhi Sultanate. Until they can secure up that food, they're in real trouble. Now, he definitely wants to be walling up these sides, I think, doing that. Also, he could have walled in this side over here and secured up that deer. He does also have a super safe berry pack here that he could wall in very easily. So maybe a little bit preemptive with a huge farm transition. And, oh dear, these villagers. So the reason they're building all the farms and not working is because all of them are shift queued. So when you shift queue all of them, you want to then take the villagers and right click the mill or right click one farm, and then they will leave one villager on each farm as they produce them. Otherwise, they'll spend 2 minutes making 50 farms and then they'll suddenly run back and fill them all up. So that's always a good little extra macro thing that you can do. We can see some siege coming out. We've got a couple of tower elephants, war elephants. We've got 3 of those. We've got a mangonel and some springles trying to take out, ready for the infantry and ranged mass that's coming. Sacred Site on the bottom side is trying to be captured again, but Power Steve has almost completely walled that in, so that's going to be safe from Techeromi for the time being. But if we take a look over, Techeromi is still out on the map. He's getting the food, so he's on the deer over here, and he's also on the berries on this backside, which is about to get hit. Getting caught out of position again. These villagers, lots of them are low health, and if he gets the pull just right, there we go. He's running past. Is he going to notice? Is Power Steve going to get the hit? He's just running straight past them. And there we go, he's noticed, yes, perfect. And now he's also on the base side, so if they garrison, they're still going to run past all of these units as well. So Ghazi getting some big hits, and this is now going to be a big hit on the economy. And it does look like on this side that Techeromi is still going for the sacred sites. He's splitting off his army, and this is a little bit dangerous. You don't want to be splitting your army off like this when you don't know where your enemy's forces are. A keep has gone up on the center, and we do have the village fortresses now, so the keeps are going to be able to produce villagers. And if we take a look, how many keeps does he have? I can't remember my keep hotkey, but I think that's the only keep so far. So that's just going to be an extra one. So now he's on 2 TC. The eco lead is going to start to grow, but these men-at-arms are torching these down and idling up all these villagers. And if they can break through one of these walls, they're going to be able to do a lot of damage. And here the villagers are there hoovering up the berries, and this could make a big difference. Although Power Steve has his secure food at the back, the villager lead is going to be taking it, and Techeromi is out on the field with his food, but he's cleared up that deer, and so now where's he going to go? A couple of sneaky men-at-arms healing in the corner, hiding away from view, ready to do some damage and saving themselves from the Techeromi swarm, and now they're onion walling each other in to the sacred sites. Eventually this will just reach the hills and there'll be no space to wall, but I like this play. Rather than burning them all down, just build your own walls around them. Why not? So all 3 sacred sites back, and Techeromi is defending against the little raiding party on the north. Ghazi, there we go, pulling off onto the crossbows, focusing those guys down because they're the ones that are doing the biggest damage. And the crossbows focus firing the Ghazi there rather than the men-at-arms. And Techeromi's definitely going to do that, but it's going to cost him. And Power Steve is going Imperial. Wow. So right, this is where you're going to see, hopefully you're going to see Techeromi respond as soon as he notices that the Hisar Academy has come up, which is nice and safe over here in the back. He's going to have to push, because as soon as you go Imperial, you know that they've spent all of those resources on that age up, and they are going to start getting that tech advantage as well. Even though the Sacred Site timer is now ticking 10 minutes, once he's in Imperial, this is going to be really, really scary. He already has all of his tech, so he's basically ready to go in Imperial, and that is now going to pop. So are we going to see these units coming in? Power Steve actually now getting aggressive on the front lines, getting a huge mango shot on those crossbows. What a shot. And this is where, who says that mangoes are terrible? Trebuchet on the back going for that keep, and in come the elephants. Coming round, taking out those walls, and there we go. Now they're going to be able to get in and do some real damage. Mangonel catching some of those men-at-arms, still doing quite a bit of damage. Springle's on the front, but oh no! Techeromi thinks that Springle snipes Siege still. Oh, that's so sad. So now his Springles are slowly hitting that mango, but they're just not going to do it. War Elephants focusing on that keep. The Trebuchet on the back is going to take that out unless the villagers come in for a heal. We've got proxy siege base there from Techeromi, but the mango is being taken out with more Ghazi coming in to tank, and the War Elephants falling back to a safe position so they don't take too much damage under that keep. But the trebuchet is doing lots of work, and the scholars doing their job and coming out to heal these elephants. These guys are so valuable. If you can keep them alive, they're just going to keep pumping and pumping, because if we take a look, 600 health at the moment. Once biology and the other techs come in, that's going to massively increase. We've also got the armored beasts technology, which also stacks with biology as well, and Power Steve in the back lines as well, while the big fight's going on at the front, getting those villagers, and they're trying to stab them. But Imperial men-at-arms versus villagers, I think we all know who's going to win. Back to the elephants on the front line. We've got rams coming in, the villagers trying to heal up that keep, but I think they've run out of stone, so they're just standing idle around it. The crossbows trying to get it. There we go, insufficient stone. The keep is going to go down, and I don't think Techeromi is going to do that, and then the war elephants are going to have their way with those villagers. Rams coming through, and the war elephants targeting those, because for some unknown reason melee units target rams over every other unit in the game now. I have no idea why, don't ask me. But the Treb doing the work and getting even more units, taking out those little walls, and I'm not sure what that tower's going to do, but yeah, Techeromi's really going for it with his rams. The men-at-arms have taken out a huge number of villagers, 27 villagers down now, and all of that advantage he had from his keeps has just completely disappeared. Rams coming out, I think this is going to be his last-ditch attempt. Techeromi's trying to find some damage, but he doesn't have any units to defend these rams, so I'm not sure where they're going to go. If we check out the Hussar Academy, is an Imperial university. There we go, brain function, brain work, so we can see that he's already going for biology and getting his other techs as well. But these war elephants, look at that siege damage. Not worrying about those rams. They're not going to do anything at this stage. 7 minutes left on the sacred site timer, but this one definitely can get decapped very, very quickly if Power Steve is careful. But scholars on the back keeping them healed, but they're about to get pinched. Pincer movement from Techeromi. No, not really enough units. These elephants are still shooting from the top side, and they're going to be able to take out those men-at-arms, and the scholars just keeping them all healed up. This is absolutely insane. Look at that. Men-at-arms can't kill the scholars because there's too much healing going on from all of those. Villagers coming out to chop wood on the front with the crossbows there. They don't care about those crossbows. Who cares? We're just going to get that wood while the elephants clear up everything for us in the front. And the villagers are now coming for the burn, going to just burn down those buildings. Okay, why not? And if we take a little look now, Sacred Site's on 6 minutes, so Techeromi, if he can keep all of them, but this one is just too easy to decap. Power Steve needs to just drop one of these men-at-arms on here to make sure that that timer doesn't go off, or even just a villager, anything. But all of this production on the front is going down, and now the military numbers massively going in his favour. Huge amount of wood, but he's lost a massive amount of eco, and he doesn't have the food, so I think he's going to need to do a farm transition, and he's in real trouble. So this is where he's not going to be able to get the units out. Tons of spears and crossbows, but against this number of elephants with healing, I think he's going to have a really difficult time dealing with that. Also, these Imperial upgrades are coming in. We can see we've got 4 minutes on the armored beasts, but I'm not sure that Techeromi is going to be able to hold out this long. One of the war elephants is getting targeted by all the crossbows and spears, but that healing is still keeping him alive. There we go. So this is where Techeromi needs to be focusing on those scholars, making sure to get rid of that healing. And this is a nice little push from him, but the men-at-arms swarm in the back. Power Steve's signature coming in now to get rid of that front line, as the elephants can then charge into the crossbows. These men-at-arms also Imperial, so they don't care about Castle Age crossbows. They're going to be able to do a huge amount. And the elephants on the back line just shooting away. With some siege that popped up, the trebuchets to take out crossbows, and Techeromi calls it. So a massive elephant switch there, turning the tide in this Delhi mirror. I hope you've enjoyed the Delhi chaos, and I will see you next time.